Hey everyone, today we're going to break down the pros and cons of professional teeth whitening. So first off, let's talk about the advantages of professional whitening. And the first advantage is its effectiveness. If you go into your dentist's office and you look at their whitening system, chances are they're going to have a peroxide-based product. And studies show that professional whitening done will see results 3 to 8 shades lighter in the treatment session. And it does not matter if you're doing the whitening in the office or if you are doing it at home with custom trays from your dentist. The results will be much more effective than anything you'll find over the counter. Another advantage is the safety and having that professional supervision. Because when you are dealing with high concentrations of peroxide and you're trying to whiten your teeth, you need to keep that away from the gums and the soft tissues in your mouth. Otherwise, you can burn those tissues and cause irritation, pain, and even receding gums. The final advantage of professional whitening is the boost in confidence and the aesthetics that come along with it. There are studies that show that people who have whiter teeth are perceived as more confident, happier, and healthier individuals. Now, let's talk about some disadvantages of professional whitening, and the first one is cost. Professional whitening isn't cheap, and the costs can vary depending on where you live and what type of whitening you are getting. Another disadvantage is tooth sensitivity and gum irritation. When you're using high concentrations of peroxide, you're changing the pH in your mouth and you're opening up the pores of your teeth. And that leaves your inner tooth structure exposed to what's in your mouth. And when you eat something hot or cold, that's going to send signals to your brain that will be perceived as sensitivity. And a lot of patients complain of that when they're going through whitening, whether it's in office or at home. Now, that sensitivity is temporary, and it goes away in a few days for most people. But for some people, it can be pretty severe and uncomfortable. Another issue that you might run into is gum irritation. Because when you're using peroxide, it is a strong chemical. You need to keep that product away from your gums and soft tissues. And if you don't do it properly, you can cause pain and irritation to those tissues, and it can cause them to recede. Now, again, this is less likely to happen if you're doing it under the supervision of a dentist, but it's still something that you need to be aware of. Next is the fact that results are not permanent. When you whiten your teeth, you're not changing the actual structure of the tooth. You're only changing the color of the tooth temporarily. And when you start eating and drinking things that cause staining, like coffee, wine, berries, tea, soda, those are going to cause your teeth to stain again. And you are going to have to touch them up every 6 to 12 months to keep the whiteness that you want. And another thing that you should know is that whitening doesn't work on all teeth. You can't whiten a crown, you can't whiten a veneer, you can't whiten a filling. And if you have intrinsic staining on your teeth, like tetracycline staining or gray staining, your teeth aren't going to whiten very well at all. And in those cases, you should talk to your dentist about other options to improve the appearance of your smile. And the last disadvantage that I want to talk about is the potential for enamel damage. So when you're using peroxide and you're whitening your teeth, you're basically using a bleach on your enamel and dentin to make them lighter. And when you overdo it, when you use too much peroxide or you use it too often, you can cause damage to your enamel. This can cause rough surfaces. It can cause loss of minerals on the teeth, and it can cause erosion of the enamel itself. Now, again, this is less likely to happen if you're redoing it under the supervision of a dentist. But if you're reusing products on your own without the guidance of a professional, you can definitely damage your teeth if you're not careful. So those are the disadvantages of professional whitening. Now, let me talk about some limitations of professional whitening. Who shouldn't get their teeth whitened? Well, the first group of people are pregnant or nursing mothers. We do not have enough research to know whether whitening is safe for pregnant or nursing women. Therefore, she should be on the side of caution and skip whitening until breastfeeding. Next, if you have gum disease, a lot of tooth decay or cavities, a dentist probably won't put you through whitening because it can be dangerous for you. Also, if you have extremely sensitive teeth or you're allergic to peroxide, you probably shouldn't whiten your teeth because it's going to cause a lot of discomfort, and you're not going to be able to tolerate the whitening. And finally, if you have crowns, veneers, fillings, or other types of restorations in your mouth, you shouldn't whiten your teeth. Whitening will only affect the natural teeth, not the restorations. And as a result, you're going to end up with an uneven smile. Now, let me remind you that there's no way around the fact that if you're drinking coffee or tea or berries or smoking tobacco, those things are going to stain your teeth eventually. And if you can manage oral hygiene, brush twice a day, floss once a day, and see your dentist regularly for cleanings. And if you do these things, you can slow down the staining process. Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please share it with your friend. Until next time, stay healthy, stay informed.